The Roman Legionary, a symbol of order, discipline, and unwavering loyalty. The backbone of an empire that stretched from the sun-scorched sands of Syria to the misty shores of Britain. We picture them as an unstoppable force of gleaming armor and synchronized marching. But what if I told you that the life of a Roman soldier was less about glorious battles and more about back-breaking labor, bizarre rituals, and a shockingly high chance of dying from something other than barbarian's sword? Forget what you've seen in the movies. We're about to uncover the brutal and, frankly, weird reality of life in the Roman army. So, you want to be a hero of Rome. First, you'll need to survive the enlistment process. You had to be a Roman citizen, at least 5'8", and in good physical shape. But the most important qualification: a letter of recommendation. Without a powerful patron, your chances of getting in were slim. Once accepted, you'd swear a sacred oath, sacramentum. This wasn't just a promise, it was a religious bond. Breaking it meant you were an outcast, cursed by the gods. Oh, and you'd be hunted down and executed in a particularly gruesome manner. No pressure. Think a legionary's life was all epic battles. Think again. The Roman army was a massive construction company that occasionally fought wars. These guys were engineers, builders, and road pavers. They built the forts they lived in, the roads they marched on, the very aqueducts that supplied their cities. And the pay. It was okay. But here's the kicker. A significant chunk of your salary was immediately deducted for food, clothing, and your retirement fund. Yes, the Roman army had a pension plan, and you also had to pay for your own burial. Talk about a buzzkill. Roman soldiers were a superstitious bunch. They carried lucky charms and believed in all sorts of omens. Before a battle, they'd observe the flight of birds or the entrails of the sacrificed animal to predict the outcome. A bad omen could see a whole campaign called off. And discipline was legendary and legendarily brutal. A soldier who fell asleep on watch would be stoned to death by his own comrades. And if a whole unit was deemed cowardly in battle, they faced decimation. 1 in every 10 men would be chosen by lot and beaten to death by the other 9. A friendly reminder to stay in line. So, with all this, you'd think the biggest threat to a legionary was a barbarian's axe, right? Wrong. The number one killer in the Roman army was disease. Cramped, unsanitary forts were breeding grounds for dysentery, typhus, and all sorts of lovely infections. Your chances of dying from a fever were far higher than dying in glorious combat. And let's not forget the food. While they had a varied diet for the time, spoiled grain and contaminated water were constant threats. A simple stomach bug could take down an entire cohort. So, the next time you picture a heroic Roman legionary, remember the reality. A life of relentless labor, strange superstitions, and the ever-present threat of miserable death far from the battlefield. They were tough, they were disciplined, but they were also human, living in a world far more brutal and bizarre than we can imagine.